This is how you come down.
I got it. All right, here we go. Here we go. Back on the boat. It's too noisy out there. There's pressure washers going. There's all sorts of goofy stuff going on out there. And wind. So it's easier to do it inside the boat. So, of course, as usual, Sarah rocks out the biggest fish possibly of the year. Again. So unfair. She's sitting right here, too. The elusive Sasquatch, Sarah. Rarely heard, rarely seen. Except when the fishing rod's ripping. So what we do is we got this little spot. Usually, normally, everybody trolls for salmon. You put down these great big 10-pound, 12-pound cannonballs of lead, which brings your line straight down, and then they release onto the hook and the flasher, and you troll around back and forth in the traffic. The last couple of years, we've been going tight into shore and throwing an anchor out in a little bit of a bay, just on the outside where everybody's normally fishing, and jig. So you just got your rod, the motor's off, and you're just jigging your rod up and down like this. I look over, and if she isn't going, oh my God, and her rod is buckled over and bent right under the boat from an absolute monster, she's freaking out, broke the line. No big deal, get her rigged up again, we're both jigging away. And all of a sudden she starts yelling again and rocks out another huge one. It's the second largest that's come in the whole community so far this year. Here, I'll show you this video real quick. Watch this. Watch the line screaming off the reel. Oh man, we got a huge one on. She just jigged it up. What's line left? That's the sound of the line ripping out.
Oh my God, no.
It's not stopping.
Yeah. Let's hope the boat doesn't come and cut us off. Oh.
Awesome. She got it. Now what are we going to do? We're not going to get more voices heard. Apparently I was at the doors wide open to do the Michael Jaco podcast today from the dock here, but I'm not going to do it from here. I'll wait till Monday. So that'll be on Monday. It's just too much going on around here with the weather and the wind outside and boats, pressure washers. It's too much. Now, so let's get some people heard. Listen to this. This is all recent, all right, guys? Analysis of the first 2 years of emailed encounters part 1. Interesting. Hello, Steve. I've sent in some of my own encounters and decided to analyze data from your first 2 years of email encounters. I have a background in military intelligence as an information collector and analyst, so I put those skills to use to identify patterns. You have spoken of the patterns before, but we didn't have the percentages or numbers, and those are important to the understanding of these creatures. Agreed. There were over 700 encounters you shared the first 2 years. No shit, that's it? For the first 9 or 10 months, I think you only shared 1 email per episode, but then the emails began to flood in, and you started sharing multiple emails per episode. I started at April 8th, 2019, and went to April 8th, 2021. The work is detailed, and going much slower than I would like. I'm only about halfway through and have literally been working on it for months. No way. Wow. Can't wait to see what you've come up with. I'm sending in some preliminary results of the first 350 or so emails in part 1 and the final numbers in part 2. I don't expect the results to drastically change, but I've noticed You'll read an encounter with strange details, and almost invariably, the next email that same day will have the same details. So I'm not ruling out anything. There are many believable emails that I don't doubt, but the emails were exclusive and don't involve a pattern, so I'm not including results of just 1 or 2 encounters, or this project will never get finished. There are a total of 13 categories, but I'm only including 6 in this email, and only the most frequently reported aspects of each activity. The first category I'm analyzing is human activity at the time of the encounter. Hunting with a rifle was the most common activity during an encounter, with 3 times the frequency of bow hunting. Stand hunting, rifle or bow, or hunting with dogs. The number of rifle encounters was 59 out of 358. Bow hunting was 14 out of 358. Stand hunting by rifle or bow was 5 out of 358. And hunting with dogs was 4. The second most frequent activity during an encounter was camping, with 45 encounters out of the same number, 358. Driving was next, with 21 encounters. Fishing was 17. Working at home or just hanging out at home was 11 encounters. All other activities were less than 6 encounters out of 358. Hopefully that will reassure some people who limit their activities for fear of an encounter, although it is still possible. For example, there were virtually 0 encounters reported for meditating or foraging or sunbathing. The next category was children. A total of 32 encounters out of 358 occurred with children. The most common age was 8, with 6 encounters out of 358. The next category was physical attributes of Sasquatch, although the local indigenous people said that the Sasquatch could become any size they wish, so take it with a grain of salt. The most common size was 8 feet. 18 people reported that height. The most common weight reported was 500 to 600 pounds, with 6 people estimating. Build description, huge, had 14 for the most common. Chest estimate was 4 feet, with 10 people guessing that width. Black was the most common color description. 12 people reported that. 75 miles per hour was the top speed reported as one chased a vehicle. The only other speed reported was 55 miles per hour. The most commonly reported activity a Sasquatch engaged in was watching humans, with 25 out of 358. The second most common was screaming, with 35 reports. I should point out that not every email had all the categories. People report what they remember, so the most disturbing things are more likely to be included. The most common paranormal aspect reported is the dead silence, with 17 reports. The 2 most common human reactions were intense terror, which may be projected from the Sasquatch, and leaving the area immediately. Feeling uneasy and or watched were the most common feelings associated with encounters. I know none of these were surprises, but I found it interesting, especially the bow hunting encounters being far less than the rifle hunting ones, and scouting for game only had 3. Also, the camping numbers versus hiking, etc. It seems they are far less bothered by logging than by camping, as there were only 4 reported encounters while logging versus the 45 while camping. That is interesting, right? As you always say, make of what you will. I'll send the actual numbers when I finish. I hope to do another 2 years of time, if time permits, sometime in the future. Best regards. Did you say to use your name? Gotta go to the beginning to make sure. I hate it when I share somebody's name and they said not to, but I don't think so. This is Kathy Flynn. Kathy, you're a superhero. Thank you so much for that. That is absolutely interesting, and I can't wait to hear second part. Excuse me. That's going to actually, a lot of people are going to want to know what you just dove into and recorded. A lot, including me. That's very handy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's the waves smacking the boat if you're hearing some background sound. Steve, I'm not asking you to share the below. I just sent it to someone that asked my take on your October video about Sasquatch. I do have a little insight because I've been a recreational prospector over many years. I'm now retired and have no further interest in being a prospector anymore. It's just too tough on my older body. Perhaps you can garner some insight on what I write here. And if you do share, please don't refer to my real name. Below is the email I just sent to. I'll keep that name. I'll keep all the names up. This is in North Texas. So this is an email to his friend. Thanks for the find. For 2 years, our Boy Scout troop would go to Pagosa Springs area, Colorado, and run its own summer camp. I usually ran or helped to run the rifle range. Behind the camp was a mountain that showed me that it had a very strong, high energy field. So one day I told my 2 oldest sons that I was going up that mountain and tracked down the epicenter of that high energy field, HEF. As I approached the epicenter, I knew something was watching me. I never saw or heard anything. I did have a 1911 pistol at my side, and I'm very skilled at arms. But now I know that would have been pretty much useless in defending my person from one of these critters. I backed down before getting to the epicenter due to the loud warning lights of caution going off in my spirit. My first wife had a high percentage of Comanche Indian blood, and over the years her sensitivity of these type of things transferred to me. So I can sense things to this day that most have no idea are there. Our children do have Comanche blood running through their veins, and they are even more sensitive. A few days later, another adult and I went to the HEF epicenter near the top of the mountain behind the scout camp. The other adult also sensed we were being watched. You don't ever know for sure what is watching you when you are being watched, but I knew. I don't think it was a bear or a cougar, most likely one of the much more deadly critters. I was relieved as we came down off that mountain, especially as we got closer to the Boy Scout camp. We were watched and followed until we were almost to the Boy Scout camp. Several years later, the road leading to where we set up the Boy Scout camp each summer got washed out. The authorities never opened that road again. I think protecting the secret of what was up there came into play in their decision to not open the road. This affected several ranches in the area, as well as a public camping area. Still, it was not reopened. The high energy fields are associated with gold, but they also attract these really bad critters. And this is why many a prospector went missing. The Indians were always blamed, and in some cases this was the case, but the main cause was because they were snatched by one of these critters. It's a pretty bold statement. They are very quick and very strong. They use the HEFs to help flow a lot of energy into their bodies. This gives them incredible longevity and strength. It also reduces the amount they have to eat to maintain health. They can initiate rainfall from these HEF and often will do so before they go hunting to dampen their smell from scaring off their prey. These are pretty bold statements. When they get out of their territory, the authorities will try to give them more space. If it interferes too much with what humans have established, they will send in special forest troops to thin them out and push them back to their old boundary areas. That's a tough one for me to accept. Every year, dozens are snatched by these and other unknown critters. Humans send out search parties to no avail. What they need to do is immediately track down the high energy fields in the area when someone is snatched. This would work a lot better than the typical search parties, which have proven to be useless. I have some evidence of their existence, including testimony of a friend and 2 sons. I'm 100% convinced they exist, and I have high regard for their speed and strength. They are not to be trifled with. You're welcome to forward this email to your subscriber or anyone else, anywhere else you think there may be interest. Clint Young, MS Chemistry, retired process/manufacturing engineer. Okay, man, you made some bold statements there. Obviously, many people, especially me, are going to go, oh yeah? Who told you this? How do you know this is fact? You know what I mean? And that's not being insulting. It's just sitting here at our coffee table having a bullshit session. Somebody comes in and starts slinging facts at me. I'm going to listen. And I go, all right, how do you know this to be true? I listen to everybody word for word. And for me, you're better off to approach me and speaking going, well, this is what I think may be going down. And then you can ponder back and forth instead of, this is what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Because not too many people can dictate facts today. Here's another one from one of our favorite people in law enforcement, ex-law enforcement, the Cujo. Here we go. Titled, The Hairy Man of the Tule River Nation Native American Tribe, bracket, this is a good one, end bracket. Okay, man, here we go again. Steve, I've been sitting here at work, working 6 p.m. to 8 a.m., doing my bodyguard gig, thinking about why I feel so strongly that Sasquatch, the Sabe people, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call them, are real. I've never seen one, and I don't know anyone who has. So why do I believe so strongly? After clearing away the cobwebs of my mind, I remembered events from my childhood. My great-grandparents lived in a little town called Springville in California. This town is at one of the entrances to the Sequoia National Forest. It's directly south of Kings Canyon National Park. All major holidays were spent in Springville at their home, especially Christmas and Thanksgiving, as well as the birthdays of great-grandma Ansel and great-grandpa Chuck. Side note, great-grandpa Chooch lived under an assumed name for the greater part of his life in Springville. He was a bag man, a money transporter for the mafia, and one day fled Missouri with a large sum of money that didn't belong to him. Met my great-grandmother and started a new life. He was actually my step-great-grandpa, but was always great-grandpa Chuck, or Buka Charlie, to me. Anyway, there was a river very close to their home, right across the street basically, the Tule River. And we would always go there to swim during our visits. The adults would usually accompany us, but when they didn't, they would always say the same thing. Don't swim alone. Stay out of the current and deep part of the river, and watch out for Bigfoot. We never saw one when we swam, but they always said it. And when looking back, it's obvious to me that they were not joking. Especially my grandpa Jack, who I am named after. He was a hunter, and if we were lucky, he would cook up some venison while we were there. Then I remembered there are a lot of references to the Sasquatch in that little town. The name Bigfoot or Sasquatch is attached to a lot of business names and roads, etc. That also tells me they have been seen around there. Then I did some digging on the local Native Americans in that area. The Yokut, Yokut, Y-O-K-U-T, Yokut. I think Yokut. Speaking Tule River Native American tribe, and boy did I hit pay dirt. The Tule River tribe has a long tradition with the Sasquatch, which they call the Hairy Man, or in their language, Mayak Datat, or Sunsunut. There's a site along the Tule River called Painted Rock that has very old pictographs of a male, female, and juvenile Sasquatch that they refer to as, quote, the family, end quote. That is 700 to 1,200 years old. There's also documented Tule River Native American mythology about the Sasquatch, a story called, quote, the Giant of Awanee, end quote, where the Sasquatch are referred to as the first people. Also, other stories including one when the Great Spirit decided to make humans, he consulted all the animals in the forest to give him ideas. And it was the hairy man's input that they, humans, should walk on 2 legs like me. Sasquatch was also seen as helpful at times to the Native Americans because he was said to hunt and eat the animals who would hunt and eat men, like bears. There's a lot more you can find if you Google it, but I'll end with this. When the parents of Native American children saw that their children were going down to the Tule River, they would always tell them to watch out for the hairy man. Just like the adults did in my family when I went down to the Tule River as a kid. I attached a picture of Google Maps to show where Springville is, and a short article about the Tule River hairy man that also has a depiction of the hairy man at the Painted Rock site, Cujo. Okay, man, gotcha. Appreciate it, man. Glad you're still safe doing your gig over there. And make sure you keep us posted if something crazy happens. I'm always up to hearing that shit. Now, here's the article. Maybe I'll read it because he's got it pasted here. Bigfoot the hairy man. The Bigfoot was a creature that was a great big giant with long, shaggy hair. His long, shaggy hair made him look like a big animal. He was good in a way because he ate the animals that might harm people. He kept the grizzly bear, mountain lion, wolf, and other large animals away. During hot summer nights, all the animals would come out together down from the hills to drink out of the Tule River. Bigfoot liked to catch animals down by the river. He would eat them up, bones and all. It was pleasant and cool by the river on hot summer nights. That is when grown-ups liked to take a swim, even though people feared that Bigfoot, the hairy man, might come to the river. People still like to take a swim at night. Parents always warn their children, don't go near the river at night, you may run into Bigfoot. Now, Bigfoot usually eats animals, but parents said, if he can't find any animals and he's very hungry, he will eat you. Bigfoot, the hairy man, doesn't leave a speck or trace. He eats you up, bones and all. We won't know where you have gone or what has happened to you. Some people say Bigfoot, the hairy man, still roams around the hills near the Tule River. He comes along the trail at night and scares a lot of people. When you hear him, you know it's something very big because he makes a big sound, not a little sound. Children are cautioned not to make fun of his picture on the Painted Rock or play around that place because he would hear you and come after you. Parents warn their children, you're going to meet him on the road if you stay out late at night. The children have learned always to come home early. Told by Ruby Bays, Jenny Franco from Bigfoot and Their Stories. There you go. There you go. Every single community since time began has always said the same thing. Don't be out after dark, right? Or they're going to get you. I guess that had to come from somewhere, didn't it? Okay. What's this one? Be safe out there, Cooch. Be safe, man. This is titled, Ideas Rolling Around in My Head. Howdy, Steve, from the Texas Panhandle. My name is Edwin. Or most friends call me Eddie. They can definitely use my name as nobody around here listens to your videos. I know, sorry. You can definitely use my name as nobody I know around here listens to your videos. I'll bet you they do by now. I'm not afraid of anybody because I'm a big old boy and there ain't nobody I know gonna cross me. LOL. I know you always say you don't pre-read or pre-screen these emails, but this may be one you might want to after reading it. You may want to edit this one out, and if you do, I'll completely understand because it may lead to something unsafe. First of all, I grew up and lived in the Texas Panhandle about 50 miles northeast of Amarillo, and we just don't have Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or a Sabe problem here. This is flat farm and ranch country. If you stand in the bed of a pickup, you can literally see for, at the very least, 25 miles. At night, you can see the lights from towns that are 30 to 45 miles away. Trees are very few and far between, so they couldn't hide here if they wanted to. Now, a little bit about me. I'm 49 years old, and I'm a thinker and a tinkerer. I always take things apart to see how they work, and more times than not, I could always put things back together and work perfectly, except when it comes to things electronic. If something is wrong electrically with a device, I have a hard time troubleshooting it. But if I know what is broke or come loose, I can repair it. I'm pretty much a jack of all trades, and a master of none, as they say. I can rebuild a Chevy engine, no problem. Weld, wrench on anything. I'm a damn good cook, and have baked many a birthday and wedding cakes. I've made my own blankets, so I can sew, and even taught my daughter how to use a sewing machine. I'm a certified Harley and Honda motorcycle technician. I'm building a boat that's going to be the envy of a lot of people at our local lake. I just recently went hunting for the first time 5 years ago at the begging and peer pressure of my best friend. I bagged my first whitetail that year, and since then have harvested a mule deer in my backyard, a nice 3x3. I've driven tractors when I was younger and worked in a tire shop for 20 years off and on between working maintenance at a beef packing plant. I recently obtained my CDL about a year and a half ago, and I now drive a belly dump for a local sand and gravel company. I work 12-hour days, and so that leaves little time to do anything for myself, for now. I don't make a ton of money, so I can't do what I'm about to explain to you. I've been fascinated with Bigfoot since I was a kid. I've been listening to you for about a year now, but I started out listening on other podcasts, and now with driving so much every day, I listen to several podcasts. I've watched all those BS shows on TV and get so frustrated and pissed watching them make fools of themselves. So, like I said, I'm a thinker, and I'm now ready to share my ideas with you and your viewers. I've seen that you have over 250,000 subscribers, and when you said on one of your videos that you had over 8 million viewers, I thought, holy crap, now's the time. If only 50,000 viewers did what I'm going to explain, and then only 2,000 or so people were brave enough to share their progress, then this whole thing would blow up, and the damn government would have to admit these things exist. Screw them. We got nothing to do with them. LOL. Okay, here it goes. So most of us know these beings can see infrared lights, and they avoid them like the plague. That's why we can't get them on trail cams. But if a person was to take a few of these trail cams apart and electronically install a remote control switch with some sort of handheld / on-off device, like 5 or 6, then hang them around your campsite, then when you're in your tent or camper and you hear the noises of footfalls or rummaging through things, then you push that button, they would turn on the trail cams right then and there, without the infrared lights being on all the time. They would be caught red-handed, and you'd have all the pics and or videos you could ever want. You could also make some sort of tripwire to turn on those trail cams for the people that don't seem to hear the noises, and sleep right through all the rummaging around at night. Also, with Halloween being right around the corner, I thought a person could also wire in a few of those pressure pads that they use for those store-bought animatronics, or make your own pressure switch with a micro switch and cover them up with leaves and dirt and other debris so that would turn on the remote controlled trail cams. Another thing that could work is to think about the Indiana Jones movies. We all know that Bigfoot likes apples, so if he could put out a few apples on a pressure plate that would activate these remote controlled trail cams when the apples are taken off the plate. Again, caught red-handed. Excuse me. You could set up this pressure plate on a picnic table at your campsite or out in your backyard. Also, it don't have to be a remote switch. A person can get some 30-gauge wire and wire up a physical switch inside your house. Just hide the wiring that leads into the house or the camper. This would work great for those people that have their house slapped or have rocks thrown at their house. The infrared lights won't be on all the time, so when you throw that switch from inside the safety of your house, then again, caught red-handed. I thought of most of these ideas when I heard the story of Mike the Rancher in Colorado. I also like what Scott Carpenter did with the GoPro mounted on a gimbal to keep it steady when filming from his back while he was walking on a trail in the woods. If more people would just think more outside the box, we could flood the internet with tons of pics. And like I said, the government would finally have to acknowledge these beings. A big thing that I just thought of is, I've heard of these beings smashing or destroying trail cameras when they find them. I've seen commercials while watching hunting shows, learning everything I could about hunting. As I stated earlier that I'm a fairly new hunter. There are trail cameras out there that send images and videos straight to your phone, so you don't have to worry about retrieving the SD card. I thought about getting these remote, or I guess I should have been saying radio-controlled. Trail cameras, patented. But that takes more money than I'll ever have, so if somebody patents it before me, then I'm fine with it. I just want the news and internet flooded with lots of good, clear, precise pics of these beings. I have a couple of possible encounters that I'd like to share, but since I'm a hunt and peck typist, this has already taken me a couple hours to type out, LOL. Besides, I need to do something before then, and that, my friend, is another story for another day. I'm sure there is something I missed or forget to mention, so if you have questions, just ask. As I listen to every video you put out, I hope that this isn't too long, but after the magazine, as you said it, LOL, that you read earlier this week, I don't think you'll mind. So in closing, if you're ever around Amarillo, hit me up, and I'll take you out to the big Texan restaurant and buy you the best, biggest steak you ever had. Stay safe out there, bud, and I'll keep watching out for those bears behind your back, LOL. Sincerely, your full of ideas friend, Eddie Big Ed Vasquez. God, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Big Ed. Appreciate the email and the thinking. But sadly, I'll be the messenger to tell you that it's not going to make a difference. It just won't. Not now. Not now that we know all the truths, a lot of the truths, right? They say the word on the street is they know your intent before you even get out of your vehicle, right? And so far it's been proven. The amount of tricks and things people have done with trail cameras, especially Rich Germeau. He went at it, and he's a very smart guy. So I think he probably tried everything you mentioned already as well, but there's just no way. It's not going to happen. When it comes to us attempting to use one of our trail cameras or any kind of a camera intentionally today, we just aren't good enough. That's all there is to it. Gotta admit it. We have to admit it. We're not good enough. We just aren't. Not yet. Somebody might be. If it is true, somebody's killing these beings at will, and somebody's got the recipe down pat. But right now, I'm pretty confident. If you are curious to have something happen, you just got to go up outside and offer your ass up. All right, what's this one? Okay, I'm going to try to do one more. Now, it's not marked as red, so here we go. U.S. Navy Electronics Tech Shares. Steve. Hey, my name is Nick. You can share this story and my name. I'll give you a little backstory on myself and what I've done. I served 5 years in the U.S. Navy as an electronics tech. Rate ET3. I got screwed up from hitting my head too many times on overhead valves on board my ship. Thus the name retired me at 27 years old with a fun condition called epilepsy. I made my way back into the service by working as a contractor at a facility in Utah. I supported the U.S. Air Force directly and worked with the Navy, Marines, and Army from time to time. No secret squirrel stuff, just using my technical background in electronics to help out on a weapons test range. I worked for a company that goes through name changes about every 15 years. They run almost every test range west of the Mississippi River. I was one of the guys who tracked things on range electronically and via radar. Anyway, I guess I'm just trying to say that I'm not trying to make a name for myself or whatever. I just feel that people need to know what's out there in the real world. I get so fucking angry when I talk to people and they laugh at my experiences or others' experiences. I mean, most of these Fs haven't even been in the real world longer than one night, and they mostly just picnic. I get pissed because it's always the same answer. Where's the proof? I've given up trying to educate these people. I'm effing done. They're the same idiots who will tell you to get a shot and not question what's in it. I apologize, but I try so hard to share my limited experiences with people so they might realize they need to be on guard in the wilds of our world. Take from it what you will. I've never had an experience with a Sasquatch, but I have had the very unnerving feeling of being watched in a valley in eastern Nevada while guiding a buddy up a goat path in a 4x4 2500 Ram pickup near the Go Shoot tribal area. We're going to the site to do some maintenance, and we took this goat path / crappy 4x4 trail to get around. We read it not that long ago. All right, one more. Read that other one. Sorry. Exposure keeps changing. It's on automatic. Whatever. It's just my ugly mug. Hi, Steve. Fellow Canadian here. I've been watching your channel for over a year. I was on the fence about Sasquatches until I ran into your channel. You have proven they exist. Because even if 1,000 people emailed you a bullshit story, the thousands of others can't be all bullshit as well. That would be an impossible amount of disinformation collectively by the masses. So I really appreciate you exposing this truth. Sasquatch exists. This has had me thinking of a theory as to why the government doesn't want anyone to know they exist, and I think it has to do with where you are sitting in all of your videos. Let me explain. People go missing in forests all around the world, and on mountains, never to be found, or sometimes maybe just clothing or bones. Most of these forests that you point out are a Canadian resource or a protected national park. So, if the government admits that these beings exist in these forests, there would be a big chance that there are going to be animal rights activists wanting to protect these beings. Then what would happen next? They would have to protect the Sasquatch's living environment, which would hit the forest industry very hard. The timber industry would fall, hitting the government's pocket. Something they wouldn't want to happen. National parks would lose tourism. Knowing these beings are in the forest would scare anyone. They would have to protect the Sasquatch's living environment, which would hit the forest industry very hard. The timber industry would fall, hitting the government's pocket, something they wouldn't want to happen. National parks would lose tourism. Knowing these beings are in the forest would scare anyone. Just the idea or chance they may run into one. I think these are the reasons the government won't let the knowledge about these beings out to the public. Makes sense to me. I know I'm going to proceed with massive caution the next time I go to Banff or Jasper or any forest, that's for sure. On another topic, and this isn't bullshit, I was about 12 years old on a summer day, completely blue sky, without a cloud in sight. Sitting in the sky was a giant UFO that had to be 300 feet wide, judging by how far it looked to be away from me. I pointed out to my mom and dad and my two brothers. I told my older brother to get his telescope so we could look at it, and he did. We watched it just sit there in the sky, metallic shining object with no windows that we could see. Whoever or whatever was in that ship, I don't think they knew that they were completely exposed because they sat there for at least 40 minutes. It sat there in the sky for so long that we got bored of looking at it. And then at some point we looked up and it was gone. This was in the late 80s, and all we had was crappy camera and we were out of film. Yep, that sucked. Ever since then, I've been looking all over for information I could get about UFOs. And when the internet came online, I searched the web and found lots of information before disinformation by the government's branches. And over the years, I found information about the different technologies that beings possess, which is thousands of years more advanced than ours. And the most important bit of information, this planet has never been ours. It has always been theirs. I'm not going to get into the details about everything that goes into that huge puzzle piece, but know that their intentions aren't to invade us, because if they wanted to, they could wipe us out overnight. They haven't done that yet, and they have had more than enough time to have it done. A Dr. Greer on YouTube is much like you, Steve. You should look up his videos. He too is trying to bring the information to the people. Only it's about terrestrial and extraterrestrials. He's worth looking up. I look at all the information about the technologies and the aliens that I have gathered over the last 30 years and wrote a book published at Lulu. You can search my name, Richard Heron. And the book called Shadow Government Aliens is the first of the 2-book series. The books are written like you are watching a movie. But in this story form, you'll find out about the technologies that are available, where these alien beings reside, and how deep the government is in with these beings. If you want to know, check out my books for these truths. I suggest you get the ebooks, they're cheaper. Your channel is about truths, and I can 100% see the need for truth. We all need answers. I receive many answers from your channel. If anyone is interested in answers about alien beings, I have some of those answers in my books. Maybe of the answers about aliens that I've researched over the last 30 years have been confirmed by others years later, by former military individuals coming forward. There are truths the governments don't want shared because some of the truths make them guilty of crimes against humanity. But from what I have come to understand, it was and is unavoidable in comparison for humanity's best interests in mind. There is a galactic federation of hundreds of alien species, some good and some bad. Some species could walk right past you and you wouldn't even know they weren't Earth humans. Steve, you and I and many of your viewers all have something in common. Something we had seen has given us scars in our memories, and we search for the answers to try and mend those scars. For many years, the government used the phrase conspiracy theorists to discredit people like me, making us look like we're out of our minds, and those who dared to come forward with the information from top secret government levels to look like idiots or look like they were lying. But now that the U.S. Navy has come forward with UFO video footage and some information about them, it looks like we can finally take our tinfoil hats off, lol. In a way, the governments have been protecting humanity, but they also have been lying to us since the 1930s. When the government tells you an answer, just know there is much more they won't tell you. Some things they are going to hide. Note they have their own fleets of alien-type spacecraft that they have manufactured. This they have and will deny. And if an alien attack is ever staged, remember that it is a government false flag attempt to instill fear into the masses. Like I said before, if they wanted humans wiped out, it would be done overnight. And would have been done long ago. Don't believe everything you hear from the government. It's all about control of the human masses and control of top secret information. Those who never believed now have a lot more catching up to do. It is so much to take in that it will all sound like bullshit. But just remember, there is now government-level confirmation. Carefully open your eyes and use your gut instinct on what you are being told by the government. Do your own research, and you'll find many of the answers I have found. Or read my books, get the information overload, and then research the findings from my books. The truth is out there. We may never have all the puzzle pieces about Sasquatch or alien life forms, but we can now come to the most important conclusion. They all do in fact exist. They all do in fact exist. Take care, Steve. All my best to you and your family, and the same sentiment to all of your viewers. All right, appreciate that, man. I don't normally promote anybody's anything, but what the hell? Did it. There you go. Take from what you will or leave it. From what I have learned on my ride so far, the theory of the money in the national forests, the parks, and the loss of money from logging has absolutely nothing to do with the Sasquatch topic and the sharing of true knowledge. Nothing. From what I understand at this stage of the game, it is all because A, it possibly proves that the Bible is fact. It also proves that we did not morph into humans from tadpoles or chimps or whatever they try to tell us. But they do not want us to know that we can live free. I'm pretty sure that's what they don't want us to know, that we can live free and that we do have the same skills as these people. Only they've been rubbed out of us. That's what I'm being fairly convinced of that myself at this stage of the game. Man, I'm so tired right now. Oh my God. I think I've been up since 4 o'clock. Yeah. if we knew intent before somebody even got out of their vehicle, what would that do to the control and the dirty bastards, right? That's far more important for them to block than money from logging or from parks. Anyway, there you go. Appreciate you sending that in, man. I'm super glad you're digging to the extent you have and are. And I hope everybody's digging right now too, same time. But anyway, I gotta go. I am absolutely putting myself to sleep. I'll try to be back tomorrow. We'll see what Sarah decides to catch tomorrow. Maybe she'll let me catch a big one. Maybe the big fish will jump on my hook tomorrow for a change. But anyway, all the links to anything you may be curious about when it comes to this channel are in the description below, all right? I'll be back tomorrow, I hope.
Looks like he's coming our way. Hopefully we can scare him away.